Hey everybody, happy Friday. So we have Halloween tomorrow, and one makeup thing that's always really popular at Halloween and a part of a lot of costumes is a good smoky eye. And we all love wearing a smoky eye. They're sexy, they're classic, they look amazing. But sometimes smoky eyes can be really challenging because we want to look smoky and sexy. We don't want to look like Kung Fu Panda. And I'm sure we've all had the moment trying to do a smoky eye where things went way overboard and all of a sudden we had this whole goth moment going on that we didn't have planned. So I thought tonight what I'd do is just break down how to do an easy, simple smoky eye with minimal products. Smoky eyes can be as simple or as complicated as you want them to be. A lot of times when I'm doing mine at home, it does end up involving 20 brushes and 4 glitters and like 12 eyeshadows, but that's because I get into it and I'm enjoying myself. But you don't have to make it that complicated if you don't want to. So tonight we're just going to take an easy approach to smoky eyes. And I'm going to do this video in 2 parts. The first part is going to be the more subtle smoky eye, something that you could get away with maybe for an evening wedding or a party, but still something that maybe you could also wear to work if you tone it down a little bit. And then in part 2 of the video, I'm going to show you how to take that basic smoky eye and level it up to make it more dramatic so that you can choose how smoky your smoky is going to get. Okay, so as you see, nothing on tonight except I've got some mascara on and my foundation. The first thing I'm going to start with is going to be a base for my eyeshadow. I'm going to use a little bit of our Groundwork paint pot. I like a base because sometimes when you go in with powder shadow on naked eyelids, it's going to streak and it's going to grab and it's going to be very hard to make it look smooth, so a base is going to make it go on much easier. Also, I have problems with my eyeshadow creasing, so if I don't wear primer, I'm going to have a big oily crease on my eyelid in about 3 hours. So I usually just put my paint pot on with my fingers and it doesn't take a lot. I'm just getting a couple of little taps out of the pot. I like Groundwork because it's a nice neutral taupe color. And you see I'm just patting that on very gently. It does not take much. Here we go. I'm concentrating it right there on the inner corner of the eye where I tend to have more problems with creasing. Now, I do know some people who can put just some foundation and powder on their eyelid and their eye makeup stays all day. If that works for you, awesome. That's a perfectly fine technique. Some of us, that won't hold, so we have to use an actual official eye primer. There we go. And then I just kind of run my finger over it to make sure there's no big line. Okay. Now, step 1 to smoky eyes is knowing you don't have to go straight in with black anything. Black can be really unforgiving and it can also really show mistakes. So if you're just starting out with smoky eyes, you might want to try to do your smoke with something a little softer like a gray or a brown, even navy or a dark teal. So something like our Print eyeshadow or Brune. Embark makes a beautiful one, or Mystery. So what I'm going to create my smoky eye with today is our Dusty Rose ×9 palette, because this is going to give me a nice dark brown that I can use to do the smoke. It's got some good medium colors that I can use for the base. This kind of has everything all in one, but the colors aren't so bold and not so high contrast that they're going to be really hard to work with. So, to do smoky eyes though, the most important thing is not the shadow you choose, it's these guys. Now you may say to me, but Amy, I don't really, brushes, do I really need brushes? I mean, can't I just do, or can't I just, do? No. When you go to paint your living room wall, are you smearing it on with your hands? No, you get a roller, you get a brush. Why? Because you know that's going to give you a better look. It's the same with your makeup brushes. If you don't have the right tools, you're not going to get the look. And also the right tools make it a lot easier. Now, I know this seems like a great many brushes. These are going to be our 3 main ones. He's probably going to sneak in at the end to do a little bit of work. But what we've got here basically is a 217 brush. He's fluffy. He's going to do most of the work and pretty much all of the blending. And then to do the actual smoky bit around the eyes, we got this to place our liner and we got this to blend it. This is going to be a 266 brush or a 263 brush. They're the same, just made of a different material. And a 219 smoking brush. So we're going to start with our base color first. So happy fluffy guy. Now, for your base color, don't necessarily go straight for the lightest guy in your palette, because what's going to happen then is if you've got a lot of contrast between your main color and your smoke color, it's going to be a little bit harder to blend. So maybe pick something kind of in the middle. I'm thinking, let's do a little bit of this guy. Also, as much as I adore glitter, let's be honest, texture makes a difference. When something is glittery, it's going to go on a little bit looser with a little more particle fallout. It's going to be a little more difficult for you to control. So again, if you're starting out with these things, maybe don't go straight for the glitter. I do actually like to use something with a little bit of a satiny, a little bit of a shimmer for my base color, because I find for some reason mattes blend better on top of shimmer. So if I got a little bit of a shimmer down for my base, it's going to be a lot easier to blend that matte in the crease. So we're going to get just a couple of taps of that guy. Not too much. Okay. And just like with lashes, always hold your head so you're basically looking up your nose in the mirror. I'm going to start right in the center of my eyelid and just tap a couple of times and just place my color. See that? And once most of that color's off that brush, that's when I start windshield wiping back and forth across the eyelid very gently. And then start working your way up the eyelid. So see how the color's naturally fading out as I go up? That's because there's less and less color on the brush. And just get it on up into the crease and then just let it fade right out. There we go. Okay, let's get the other eye. So again, a couple of taps, tap, tap, tap. Center of the eyelid to place. Right along the lash line like a windshield wiper. And then when most of the pigment's off the brush, that's when you start moving the brush up the eyelid so that the color will fade out and disappear over the crease area. There we go. And I see I've got just a little more depth in the crease here than I do here. You can see it. See how it's going right up through there? So I'm going to just come into the crease over here with just a little extra dab of shadow and kind of blend that out. Awesome. Okay, so there's your base color, right? So now I'm just going to swish my brush off on a tissue. Now I'm going to go for this lighter guy in the palette, that guy right there. We're going to get, yeah, same brush. Doesn't hurt anything. Get just a little tap. Now this is going to be my highlight under my brow. Again, always lay the brush down where you want the most color, which in this case is right there up under the arch. Just keep loading the brush as needed. And then just windshield wiper out from there. Okay, he's all up under the brow. Now I'm going to bring him down so he overlaps that first color. Oh, hey, highlight. Okay. So same over here, tap, tap, tap. Come under the brow very gently. And you notice when I'm coming at my face with the brush, I'm not coming straight at myself because then the brush is coming at you and you can't see what you're doing. And again, if you close your eye, everything wrinkles up. So if you kind of come up from underneath with your fingers resting on your face, that also helps you brace and control how much pressure you're getting on the brush. Because if you come in this way, you're going to hit hard with that brush and start grinding, and that's when the color doesn't go on smoothly. Whereas if you come from the side, you're controlling your pressure and you're controlling what happens. And again, blend down till he meets that first friend. Okay, there's your base color. All right, same guy. Love him. He does a lot of work. Now it's time to add a little smoke in the crease. So we're going to get just a little bit there. Again, head tilted back. All right. Pop him right in that corner right there. So again, lay the brush down where you want the most color and then blend away from there. So you see I'm bringing him just about a third of the way in. Boom, boom, boom. And then once most of the color's off the brush, that's when you move the brush up and smooth out that crease. There she goes. Now your crease placement may be a little bit different depending on the shape of your eye. Because I've got a nice little arch through here, I like to show off that shadow. But if you want to come to the counter and see me or Nicole, we can tell you exactly where your crease needs to go. There we go again, tap, tap, tap. Back and forth like a little windshield wiper. Bring it about a third of the way in. And again, don't grind that brush on your eye. You're not mad at that brush. This brush is your friend. Be kind to him. Be gentle. There we go. And you notice how I keep leaning back to look at myself. Okay, that's intentional too, because when you're like this, all up in the mirror, all you see are your mistakes, and you will sit there and totally overwork things. There is maybe one person in the world who's going to see you this close, and if they're that close to you, they're probably thinking about other things than what your eye makeup is doing. Most people, it's going to be from more of a distance. So lean back and check yourself. Do I really need to blend more? Do I really need to add more? How's everything looking? It'll give you a better perspective on what work needs to be done. I'm just swishing that brush over that to give it a last blend. Yeah, Okay, everything's looking even. Now we're going to add the actual smoke, which is the darker liner around the eye. Now, like I said, we're going to start with a kind of everyday approach, and then in the next video, I'll take it a little bit darker and show you how to make it more dramatic. If you have a very special event, or when you've built up your confidence with your smoky eyes and you're ready to go there, or for Halloween when you're dressing up as a sexy, insert, name here, and you want to have the smoky eyes to go with it. But for now. Okay, so we got our angle brush. We're going back to this shadow. Now, the nice thing is when you're doing smoky eyes, you don't have to be really precise about placing the liner. If you watched my lash video last week, I was being really careful to get it right along the lash line. But I'm going to be smudging this out, so I can just kind of dash it on there, and it's not that big of a deal. But you see, again, how I'm pressing and tapping my way across. I'm not trying to draw a line straight across my eye, because that can be very challenging, and that's when your eyeliner ends up everywhere. Okay. Now we're going to switch brushes. So this is a 219 pencil brush. His one job in this world is to smudge eyeliner and make it smoky. So we're going to get a little bit of him up on the tip there. And now he's going to come in at the lash line. And it's just a little bit of a back and forth wiggle. There she goes. And again, just keep adding a little bit at a time, because remember, you can always make them more smoky, but once they've gotten darker than you meant them to be, really hard to turn that around. So just keep tracing back and forth along the lash line. There, see how it's going? Now when I lean back, I can see I've got a little bit of a top edge. That's no problem, just very loosely. Take the brush across it and smooth that in. So see how she's getting a little smoky. Okay. And like I said, I won't get this one too dark because I'm going to show you how to take it darker, more dramatic in the next one. This is for your maybe work to evening smoky eye, or your smoky eye when you're not feeling entirely confident about what you're doing yet, so you don't want it to be too dark. Here we go. So again, don't worry about being too precise with this liner placement because you're just going to be smudging it out anyway. Just tap, tap, tap. And no, you don't have to wet your liner. I do recommend when you are doing smoky eyes, for your smoke, do use a matte color because again, just like with your base colors, the more sparkle something has, the looser it's going to be, the less concentrated the pigments, and the more it's going to fall out. So if you try to use a glitter shadow for your smoke, especially if you're not quite accustomed to it, it is going to be more challenging. You're going to end up with a lot more going on here, and it's going to be a lot of hard work to get it going on up there. All right, here comes our pencil brush. Right at the lash line. And no, I'm not using pencil because to me, although pencils are nice and dramatic, they also tend to get thicker and darker than you want them to be, and I find that I can never smudge out the edge of a pencil as well as I want to. I always can see that line there where the pencil stops, and I don't like that. So I usually do use powder shadow to do smoke. Okay, so again, lean back and look at it. Okay. Now we're going to do the smoke underneath. Now, the underneath part is what really makes the difference about how dramatic your smoky eye is. Since we're trying to keep this one a little bit softer, I'm just going to do a very gentle smoke underneath. So again, we've gone back to the angle brush, still using that same nice dark brown in this palette. And tap your way about halfway in, just like that. And then go back with the smudger brush, but not with anything on it yet. And just gently, barely any pressure, dust that along the lash line. Okay. Now same on the other eye. Very gently, just about a third of the way. So glad we got some cool weather for Halloween. It was boiling hot for a few days, and that always makes you grumpy when it doesn't even feel like fall on Halloween. Ugh. All right, and then again, take your pencil brush, just a little bit back and forth. But you see how the brushes are doing most of the work for me. Seriously, tools make such a difference. When you get some good brushes and start working with them, it levels up your game so much and takes so much of the fuss out of doing your makeup. Okay. And now, just because I can, I'm going to go back with our original base color, which was that brown right there. I want just a little tiny bit. Again, just to make sure that my smoke really fades out imperceptibly. A little bit on the other eye. Okay, and then let's take this lightest shimmering color right there in the palette. And remember I said that this little brush was going to be sneaking in and making an appearance? This is going to be his job. He's going to come right here and do a little bit of a highlight right there at my inner corner, right there at that inner V. There he goes. Okay. So obviously I'm going to go in and touch up my mascara a little bit more, but that is a basic smoky eye. This is the smoky eye that's a little more, shall we say, family-friendly, work-friendly, and a little more mistake-proof. So again, just to recap, you want to have a good base under the eyeshadow first. Brushes are of paramount importance. If you are trying to do a smoky eye and you don't have the right tools for it, you are not going to get the look you want. I say this as someone who did my very first smoky eye in college with, you know, my little triad of eyeshadows from Walgreens or wherever and the little sponge tippy thing, and I thought I was going to be all cute and copy a photo in Cosmopolitan magazine, and I get in there and try to do all that with the sponge tippy applicator, and seriously, it was so bad that my best friend, who is good and will tell me the truth when I need to hear it, said, we're not going out with you with that, that's bad. You got to go take that off. So that's what you get with the sponge tip applicator. These friends will make sure you never get sent back to your room to wash your face and take your smoky eye off. So we talked about them. And then we talked about also making sure to use colors that are going to be user-friendly and less prone to show mistakes. So rather than going in straight with black eyeshadows, white eyeshadows, things with a lot of contrast, we decided to use this palette that's got softer mauve and brown colors because you can still get a satisfactory smoke from this without having to work so hard. And also, if you mess it up a little bit, it's not going to show. And remember, we talked about your base color needs to be something with a little shimmer because your mattes will slide easier on top of it. Your matte you want to do, or your smoke you want to do with a matte, because something that's dark and a glitter is going to fall out a lot, and you may end up with a lot more going on down here than you want it to. So there's quick smoky eye. And if you want to watch part 2 to watch me make it a little more dramatic, then just look for our next posting. All right, thank you. Y'all have a great weekend and enjoy Halloween.